kuwa mkono ambao unalima ardhi, mlango wa kulima, kuwa mshindi, kuwa na uhakika sasa, kulea mustakabali wa baadaye. Tufanye kazi pamoja na tukue pamoja, kuimarisha Kenya ni jukumu la Farm Kenya.
Hello and welcome to the Farm Kenya show. I'm Nokip Kimboy, and today we are about to have a very interesting conversation touching on aquaculture, fish farming, and many more. It holds the potential, especially when you're discussing about food security in this country. That is one sector that has so much potential, not only to solve the food security issue, but also agribusiness, creation of employment, if at all it is well invested in. And we have an expert in studio, food systems lead, aquaculture technical project manager, Lattice Aquaculture Limited, John Eric. Thank you very much for making time to speak to the Farm Kenya show. But before we come to our conversation, I'd like us to go to a farm so that we have a practical touch when it comes to fish production at the farm level, some of the challenges that do come with this particular level, this kind of business. So definitely let's head to Kamudanga Farm. They do large-scale fish production so that we learn the dynamics when it comes to getting into the business. What do you need to do, the do's and the don'ts? Then thereafter, we come back to this conversation. At Kamudanga Farm in Machakos County, a well-established fish farming hub, production goes beyond traditional pond systems. We meet Edwin Keter, a farm worker at the fish hatchery, as he takes us through his daily routine in managing fish production.
This is at Kamudanga Farm Limited in Moore Hills, Machakos County. So here at Kamudanga, we do fish farming, mainly fish farming, and we cover the whole value chain from the fingerlings to the nursery area to the grow-out sections.
A key feature of the hatchery is the recirculating aquaculture system, RAS, which enhances both production efficiency and fish quality. Inside the hatchery, 2 ponds house the broodstock. Edwin explains their role in the breeding process.
For a hatchery, this is where you have fingerlings. For the fingerlings now, you are able to get many fingerlings of the same size, of a uniform size, because we usually do grading. We also provide them with optimum nutrition, optimum environment for their growth.
Egg selection is a critical stage in the hatchery. Each egg is carefully checked to improve survival rates and ensure healthy fingerlings.
For our broodstock, we have selected our broodstock. We have done a careful genetic survey. That means our fingerlings are quality fingerlings. We are able to predict their growth because they are quality. We know at this point they are this size. At this point they will be this size. That's what it means to talk about quality fingerlings, so that when you give to farmers, we assure them that these fingerlings are quality and they are monosex. That means they are all male fingerlings. For the tilapia, the males, during when they are ready for mating, they will change color to pinkish color. That means they are ready. Now they can serve the females. During the collection of eggs in our broodstock tanks, we assume that all the fish have the eggs, and then we start now selecting manually, one by one. We pick every fish and check their mouth to see if they have the eggs. All the fish will not have the eggs, but a good percentage of them will have the eggs. Yeah, we do it after 10 days and then another 10 days. So in a month we do it 3 times.
Qatar takes us through the artificial incubation process.
In our artificial incubation, which we have the McDonald's jars, we try to mimic what is done in the mouth of the mother fish. Like for example, the eggs have to be in constant rotation. That it provides nourishment for oxygen. Yeah, and they don't have to be compact. They have to be in circular motion, so that the fish do not die. For temperature, first of all, we are in Machakos, which is a warm place. You can say it's warm. Now we only add some extra degrees on temperature because we have heaters and we have to use electricity, to achieve the temperature. And then for aeration, when the water is circulating, when the water is in constant motion, we have dissolution of oxygen into the water. In our incubator, artificial ones, our eggs will take 5 days to hatch. 5 days to hatch, and then they are taken to the swim-up tanks. That's where they start feeding. And then in the swim-up tanks, they will take around 40 days before they go to the nursery area.
He further demonstrates the artificial incubation process, which stimulates hatching under controlled conditions.
In the mouth of the fish, they will take around 21 days. And then in the incubator, it will take around 5 to 6 days because we have enhanced the temperature. The temperature is higher. Also, the issue of dissolved oxygen is very good. So that's why it will take a shorter time in our artificial incubators. That's one of the advantages also of having incubators. One of the advantages of having a hatchery is that you have eliminated the issue of predators. So we get very high survival rates, which is more than what is found in the wild. So because if we have to supply people with fingerlings, that means we have to have so many fingerlings. So in our hatchery, when we provide them optimum conditions of oxygen and temperature and ammonia removal, and then also we have optimum nutrition, that will make the survival rate to go up. For our blue tanks, our knee can hold around 50,000 fingerlings. In our our swim-up tanks.
The farmer takes us through the feeding routine of the fingerlings.
We feed them every o'clock, at the top of the hour. We feed them quality feed. So for our fingerlings, we feed them the starter ratio, which are high in protein. For tilapia, one of the management practices is that after 10 to 15 days, we do what is called grading. Grading is basically sorting. You sort. There are those fish that will have grown faster than the others, so you sort them. For the ones which have similar sizes, you'll have to separate them from the other ones which are maybe of smaller size. So that they grow uniformly. And then when our customers come, we give them a uniform size of fish. We don't have to give them a mixture of sizes because they have to grow in that uniformity to harvest period.
How does Qatar know if the fingerlings are not doing well?
When you are feeding them, you train them to feed in one at the corner like this place, so that when all of them come to that place, that corner you have trained them, you know that they are healthy. So appetite is the first indicator that your fish are healthy. If your fish are not eating, that's where you now start to evaluate your water quality and the maybe amount of feed that you give. For a farmer, when we sell fingerlings to a farmer, we advise the farmer on the amount of feed that the farmer will feed the fingerlings on a daily basis. We'll also advise the farmer on the water quality parameters to check on, such as dissolved oxygen, ammonia level, and temperature, for the optimum survival of the fingerlings. We'll also tell the farmer that by such and such time, his or her fingerlings should be a certain size. If it is not of that size, that farmer can evaluate the water quality that he or she has. Here at Kamudanga Hatchery, we have tilapia fingerlings. We also have catfish fingerlings and the ornamental fingerlings. They are all available. Any farmer can just walk in, order the fingerlings, and walk out with the fingerlings. Main challenge will be, the biggest one will be about the water quality. If you don't maintain the water quality, such as temperature, dissolved oxygen, and ammonia, especially that our stocking rates are so high, if you found that if oxygen drops, let's say below 5 milligrams per liter, you are bound to lose your stock. You might lose all your stock. So it requires intense management, let's say hour after hour. It is not something that you just do in the morning and then you just go to, maybe you run your errands and then you come back in the evening. No, it requires intense management, because we have issue of dissolved oxygen and ammonia spiking. To anyone there thinking about a hatchery, fish farming is a good business, and a hatchery, the issue of fingerling production is still a very big gap. So you can tap on that gap. You produce your fingerlings.
Eunice Koi now takes us through the process in Kamudanga Fish Farm.
Kwa majina naitwa Eunice Koi. Tumetoka hatchery. Tulikuwa tumeelezewa na Edwin Keter mambo ya hatchery vile iko. Sasa mimi nitawa take through hapa kwa main farm, Kamudanga Fish Farm.
The agribase enthusiast now shares the appropriate stocking density of the fish.
From hatchery, after 30 to 40 days, fish inatoka hatchery, inakuja huku main farm. Zikikuja main farm, tunapeleka kwa nursery kwanza. Tunazigrow from 1 gram to 50 grams, of which taking around 2 months. Then after 2 months, tunazitoa nursery, tunazipeleka kwa grow house tanks, where tunazigrow from 50 grams to 500 grams within a period of 4 months. Here in the nursery, hapa Kamudanga, our nursery tanks, tunastock with about 20,000 pieces ya fish. Our tank size ni 4,000 liters. So tunafanya ra system, so inaweza beba hiyo 20,000 pieces ya fish.
Maintaining water quality, she notes, is essential for a healthy production system.
As you can see, tumezijengea hizi buildings zinakaa kama hizo greenhouse buildings, then tuko na hizo transparent mabati zenye zina absorb heat, then the heat absorb kisha ingia kwa the room haiwezi escape. So hiyo heat imekuwa absorb, ndio inatusaidia ku warm the water temperature yenye iko huku kwa farm, both in the nursery tanks na grow out tanks. So every morning tukiingia tunapima the water quality kuhakikisha kama ni ile optimum yenye the fish ina require. And then we always make sure the doors zimefungwa throughout, ndo izuie hiyo heat ku escape nje. And then the nursery tanks iko na the bioreactor yenye inatusaidia ku filter out ama ku break down the ammonia yenye inakuwa produced from the fish, inakuwa extracted from the fish na the uneaten fish feed. So the bioreactor breaks down the ammonia equally toxic to the fish, so hiyo inatusaidia control hiyo ammonia inakuwa produced from hizo fish excretion na fish feed.
On feeding, Eunice explains that protein levels are adjusted depending on the age of the fish, with younger fish requiring higher protein content.
When they are smaller in size, the fish feed that we feed them, the protein content it's still high in terms of percentage. So wakiendelea grow, the percentage ina reduce, the protein percentage ina reduce. So from hatcheries zinalishwa hiyo starter feed. Wakikuja nursery bado tunaendelea kuwalisha hiyo starter feed. Then from hapo nursery zikuja kwa grow out sasa, maybe tunaanza kuwalisha hizo finisher feed sasa. Then starter feeds ziko na different sizes kulingana na fish size na the grams ya fish pia. Vile kitara aliwaelezea huko hatchery zinalishwa 16 times in a day, 8 times during the day. First feeding inaanza 4 a.m. up to 5 p.m. Then zina rest for like 4 hours. Then watu wa night shift wanaendelea from hiyo 10 p.m. up to 5 a.m. asubuhi. Sasa huko kwa main farm, kwa nursery tunalisha hourly pia ni 16 times a day. Then kwa the grow out tanks tunalisha 8 times in a day. So first feeding tukiingia asubuhi inaanza 4 a.m. ya mwisho ina hiyo 10 p.m. Then zina rest for another 4 hours. Then watu wa night shift wakiingia wanaanza kulisha hiyo saa 4 p.m. hadi 5 a.m. asubuhi.
She also highlights that fish appetite is a key indicator of health and overall well-being.
Tukitaka kujua kama samaki zetu ziko healthy, first thing tunaangalia ni their appetite, vile zinakula. So tukienda kulisha, mtu anaenda kulisha una observe behavior, kama appetite yao iko juu, hiyo ni first sign ziko healthy. Hiyo ndio inakuanga the main sign tunaangalianga. Alafu pia ukiwalisha you observe their behavior, vile zina swim, unaangalia mwili zao kama ziko sawa. Uko hatchery vile Katera alieleza, the number tuna stock kwa hizo swim up tanks ni around 50,000 pieces per tank. Ukikuja kwa nursery, the number ina reduce to around 20,000 pieces. Then kwa grow out tuna stock na around 7,500. So the more fish zinaendelea grow each stage, oxygen demand inapanda. Alafu they'll require pia a bigger space depending on the fish size. So if you have depending on your tank size, you can stock a bigger number if the space is too small, because the fish also, like human being, they also need that space to enable them to grow. Yes, and for that, so they'll require a bigger space, and the bigger the space, the fish number will have to go down. Pia inaendana na hiyo oxygen demand yao.
At Kamudanga Fish Farm, only male tilapia are stocked. A practice Eunice explains is aimed at improving growth performance.
Since we are doing commercial farming, we only in our tanks we only stock males, monosex. If we stock mixed sex, they'll concentrate on reproducing more than growing. Kwa mkulima mwenye anafanya fish farming, when it comes to kama ni mambo ya commercial, so inakuanga recommended wale samaki wanatumia wakwange male, one sex type, male sex wote, male fish, sawa. Juu pia growth rate yao inakuanga iko faster compared to the female. So tukimix both female na male kwa one tank, growth rate itakuwa slow, because they'll concentrate on reproducing rather than concentrating on growing. So since huku tuna ni samaki ya kuuza, so tunalea wote ni male fish, juu ni wale wa kugrow, so they have to concentrate on growing.
Pond design, she adds, plays a crucial role in ensuring optimal fish development.
Hii tank vile imejengwa, tuko na hii side ni outlet. So ile wakati tunasafisha tank, sasa maji zote zinatokea pale kwa outlet. Sasa ukijenga pond, sasa mali section outlet yako, so haiwezi kuwa flat. Unajenga in that kuna vile ukifungulia outlet maji natoka kwa urahisi. and then hii side mali tunaweza kama inlet, maji inaweza ingia hii side ikitoka ile side. So wakati wa kusafisha kama samaki watakuwa wameisha hapa, ili wakati tunafanya usafi sasa tunafungulia pale, then maji inatoka kwa urahisi. This one we call purging tank. So wale ni hapa kwa grow out ni samaki za kulea sasa. After zisha mature zimekuwa hiyo 500 grams ama around 400-500 grams, hiyo size yenye tuna harvest ya kuuza. Tuna harvest, then we bring them here to the purging tank. Hapa kwa purging tank zinakaa for around 6 days before tuanze kuziuza. So zikiwa hapa we don't feed them, we starve them. Ndio zile uchafu kwa mwili, ile ya chakula, maji chafu nini itoke kwa mwili. Ni more like tuna mimic ile natural flavor ya fish. Hawa walishwi. Hizi za nje tunahakikishanga ile water level tunaheka ni ile yenye hata ndege ikikuja hawezi fikia fish. Hatuwezi lala nayo juu hiyo demand iko juu.
The farmer now shares the challenges she faces in fish farming.
Naweza sema maji, but since tunafanya hiyo system, so si challenge sana. Wakati wa baridi saa zingine inabidi sasa tunatoa hao wenye wako nje tunaweka huko ndani.
Eunice Koi wraps up with advice she can give to upcoming fish farmers.
To the upcoming farmers, ama msee mwenye ako na hiyo hamu ya kuanza fish farm, si business idea mbaya. So okay, iko na challenges but pia iko na advantages zake. So my advice inaweza kuwa before mwanze fish farm, ama kama maybe uko na the knowledge about fish farming, inaweza kuwa vizuri upitie any operating farm yenye iko near you, ama mnaweza kuja paka Mudanga. We train you on the basic knowledge, then from there you can see ama decide on what to do. Hawa samaki wetu ni watamu kuliko, naweza sema ni watamu kuliko wa lake. Juu okay, as much as wa lake wanajitafutia chakula and all that, sasa unaona hapa tunawaongezea hizo supplements zenye wanakosa huko.
All right, Kamudanga Farm doing incredible when it comes to fish production right there, and lots of pointers that have come up that we'll be able to contextualize in our discussion. But right now we take a short break. We'll return with more. All right, welcome back to the Farm Kenya show. As I promised you, we have an expert in studio. This gentleman, anything fish, he's very passionate about. John Eric, thank you very much for making time to speak to the Farm Kenya show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so quite a busy time. Africa transforming the aquaculture sector, the blue economy sector. In fact, Kenya hosted our ocean conference for the first time happening. Is it on the continent of Africa or is it just Kenya? I'm not sure. But this big deal when it comes to discussing where aquaculture lies, do you feel the continent and the country is hitting below its potential when it comes to blue economy?
Yeah, our conversation is quite timely. We've just held our Oceans Conference, the 11th edition, first on the African soil, actually. And this year marks Kenya as one of the areas where the potential for the blue economy is very high. You look at the oceans, for example, it's 70% of the world, with 97% of all the water in the world. It means that if we were to talk about food security, employment, and all this, we cannot leave the ocean behind. Now, talking about aquaculture, which is an alternative source of fish, we're all used to the traditional fisheries where you go into the lake or the ocean and catch fish. The catches are going down, so we need an alternative source because fish is a cheap source of protein. And you've compared to chicken or beef, for example, you realize why we are talking about fish today, because it stands at a very good position to provide protein to families in low-income areas.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Catches are going down.
Yeah.
That is really reshaping and also opening up opportunities for now going big time on aquaculture. So far, observing the Kenyan ecosystem. How does that transition look like? What have you observed? What's going on right there?
Well, the aquaculture space has grown. The aqua story we had a decade ago is not the same we have today. Well, in around 1950s, we had Eat More Fish campaign, because back then fish was only eaten around Lake Victoria. Then we said, this is not a cultural thing, this is a nutritional story. So how about we introduce fish to everybody else? In 2019, we are talking about a different story, the economic stimulus program, where we're saying instead of localizing production around Lake Victoria and other major lakes like Naivasha, how about we produce the fish outside the lake or even within the lake, as we see with cage farming. And as we speak today, the culture of fish has gone up. We're producing quite high volumes of fish, over 20,000 metric tons every year. But then our overall production is still dominated by fish from capture fisheries from the wild. Yet that's not sustainable, because the catch from Lake Victoria, for example, has plateaued over the last decade. It means that in as much as aquaculture has grown, we still need to produce more for us to meet our deficit. You look at the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, the economic survey 2024, they say we have a fish deficit of around 400,000 metric tons every year. And as we speak, we've just launched our Blue Economy Strategy 2025-2030 that aims to increase our overall production from the current 163,000 to 450,000 by 2030. For us to actualize this, aquaculture has to step forward. And that's actually an invitation for every player in the sector, because this is a sector that thrives based on the need, the basic need for fish. Yeah.
Definitely. What do you think is pulling us backwards? Because there are different facets to approach this particular issue. There is the policy angle, there is the technical aspect of things, there is even interest in of itself when it comes to investment. Like, is it an area where people see they can make a living out of and make money out of it? So based on that, what do you think is holding us? Or sort of we can also utilize that as a propulsion that will sort of take us and hit these milestones, like the goals that you've set for within the strategy 2025-2030.
I mean, that goes down to what are the bottlenecks in the sector. And you touched on a number of them, policy being one of them. But then for a fish farmer, it's all about inputs, which fish feeds being the key one. Around 60-70% of cost of production is feed. Not until recently, we didn't have locally produced feed because we didn't have local manufacturers. It takes a lot to set up a feed mill, and it's very capital intensive. But that aside, we're looking at fish feed ingredients, majorly the protein source, like soybean and fish meal. We have to import this to produce the feed locally. And at the end of the day, you do the math between imported feed and locally produced feed, you realize the cost is still very high. And this translates into high cost of production, which means the locally produced fish finds it hard competing with imported fish in the market. So fish feed often come top as one of our bottlenecks. I know it's a very structural issue that sits, straddles factors such as to what scale do you produce the fish, and we're looking at agroecological mismatch, for example, with soybean, where we say, how about we produce soybean in Kenya? Because that would overnight solve all of our problems. But then you realize the regions within which we could grow soybean are very limited in Kenya. Soybean needs warm areas with reliable rainfall and nice soil. This is mostly in Western Kenya, around Busia, Bungoma, and Trans Nzoia, for example. And in these areas, we have an overwhelming preference for maize. So it's a structural issue, although we've seen a move towards the right direction. We have Tunga fish feed in Kenya. We have more feed mills set up in Uganda. And we hope that with time the price can go down. Okay. You touched on technical issues. There's the thought that farmers have been overtrained in the last 5 years, and now we should be seeing the benefits of that. But it's still not there. So it's about how do we train the farmers and what do we train them on? Because efficiency is sometimes a subject to what you know and how you do your craft, and that affects fish farming a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad you've touched a bit on the scale of production issue, and I'd like us to look at that, because a lot of people, we see opportunities. That's one thing about Kenyans, you know. Yeah. If I can see you're making a shilling or two somewhere, most likely I'll also give it a try in one way or another. For aquaculture, for fish farming to be specific, if we are to see a lot of change, not only big players, but also small players. Yeah. So far, do you think who are the majority, for starters, demographic-wise? And what would work? In an ideal situation, should we see more scaling, or should we see more people coming into the value chain?
Good point. I mean, the sector, demographically, it's a typical 80-20. We have over 80% of our fish being produced by less than 20% of the producers. And small-scale farmers contribute over 80% of the producers. So you realize for you to move the needle, increase production, the easiest route would be to ensure that the small-scale farmers are producing at their potential. Currently, we have farms operating at, say, 40% of the potential. You go to Siaya, you have a cage city, so you have cages in the lake, so many of them. But then, you know, ask farmers randomly, how many of your cages are stocked? And get even more granular, how many of the stocked cages are stocked to full capacity? And ask them, why are they not stocked to full capacity? And the same things keep coming up. Fingerling availability and price, feed availability and cost. So if we were able to empower the smallholder farmers to produce at their potential, then that will move the needle. Because if we talk about let's increase the number of producers, then we're bringing in other elements of sustainability, for example. Just how many cages can we have on Lake Victoria, for example? How many ponds would you need to set up in Western Kenya or Central Kenya? So if we produced to our potential, then we get to move the needle. But then demographically, we have so many smallholder farmers producing very little, a few big players producing a lot and dominating the market.
Definitely, and even imports. A while back, we had a very big discussion locally.
Yeah.
You know, and majorly our discussion as the populace was, if fish in a taste different na he fish. I mean, in a global market where we operate and talking about competitiveness with this high cost, definitely somebody will get that fish in here cheaper. Yeah. Is there a differentiating factor when you get fish from different parts of the world, or now things are becoming, or things are globally standardized, so that if I take that fish, I don't know whether it's from Lake Victoria or it's from China?
Yeah. My answer to that question often depends on what persona I take, whether I choose to speak as a passionate Kenyan or as a sector expert.
Sector expert.
So, as a sector expert, I think we're looking at three things here. We're looking at economics. I've mentioned earlier on that our locally produced fish struggle to compete against imported fish. And this is majorly because imported fish, say from China, I mean, most of the imported fish come from China. They're produced at a very low cost in China, and it's so low that it comes to Kenya and its selling price is still lower than the Kenya farmers' production cost. So that's one facet to look at it from. Then there's the issue of food safety and traceability. To what extent can we control the quality of fish coming from China? And that's where we have issues of organoleptics. I mean, how does the fish taste and how safe is it to consume? I mean, there are standards and procedures to import fish, but then can we ever be fully sure? So to those who know the taste of fish from Lake Victoria, it's often subjective, but there are theories that you can tell. And speaking as a fish expert, I'm not going to say my view on that. And last but not least is on sector development. It's competing factors here. We have a fish deficit, and therefore, to a great extent, it makes sense to import the fish because we fill the gap. But then we have a sector to grow. So if you import the fish to fill in the deficit, and the local sector suffers as a consequence because we can't have more farmers because the fish cannot compete against the imported fish, then in a way, the sector might not grow. So that's where we have to look at it very critically and pick our priorities right.
Okay.
Countries like Egypt, for example, who cracked it, how did they crack it? I mean, we talk about subsidies in the cost of feed in Egypt. We talk about large-scale domestic production of inputs and, favorable policies. How can we ensure that we drive that locally to an extent that we don't necessarily close the door and say, don't bring in fish, but then our farmers can thrive in as much as we import the fish.
Definitely. And the case in point with Egypt.
Yeah.
I mean, that incentivizing, the sector at large and making it more accommodative, more attractive. I think it's a whole sort of game changer in the Kenyan ecosystem. Because, we might be very similar. We're on the same continent. Those low-hanging fruits, especially looking at where we are as policy-wise, because you interact with lots of these policy documents on fish and blue economy at large. But what are those low-hanging fruits that when you speak to farmers, they're always like, if this will be solved, it will take us, 2-3 years ahead of our time.
Yeah, policy-wise, we're currently looking at two things, I would say. There's policy expansion, where we would have the relevant bodies keep working on more policies to ensure we have a favorable environment to grow the sector. But then there's something else called implementation capacity. You realize that if you ask the farmer early in the morning, what are your bottlenecks? Just like you've mentioned, we'll state them. We have feed, we have fingerlings, we have market, we have cold chain issues. But then our implementation capacity is not where it should be. So in my opinion, we ought to focus more on implementation capacity over policy expansion. We have the Blue Economy Strategy just launched in our Oceans Conference. That alone should take us very far as policies are concerned. And we have the Kenya Fisheries Service, we have the Kenya Marine Research Institute, Fisheries Research Institute. these bodies are working day and night to ensure that the environment every player works in is favorable. But then I think we need to tighten a bit on implementation capacity, because that's what will move the needle. Having all these policies on paper and not doing anything about it on the ground will not move the needle. So you look at trade, for example. There's how trade is supposed to happen, county or even between the East African countries. On paper, it's very seamless. You know, you say we have these deals and the trade farmers should sell their fish properly. But go to the border and ask a farmer, what hassle do you have to go through for you to get your fish to the market? And that's when you realize there's a very clear mismatch between the policy and the implementation.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We need to bridge that gap.
Yeah.
It's true, actually, because they say that Kenya, we're very good on paper. If at all we implemented, it would make a huge, huge difference. And now with all these goals that we've set for ourselves, blue economy strategy from, these are macro perspectives. For the Kenyan consumer.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether this is bias because of staying, as coastal people will call watu wa bara, but we tend to consume, a lot of us love tilapia.
Yeah.
But sometimes you go down to the coast and you're exposed to a myriad of other types of fish that you can consume.
Yeah.
Not just freshwater products, but also from the sea. Is there a reworking of the consumption patterns as we close up that we need to redo, even just based on the region? You're from Kisumu, you must love fish. You're from Mandera, no, you don't. Most likely love something different. Is there that psyche change that also we need to hit?
Yeah, so this is a clear case of exploitation versus exploration. You tell a Kenyan child to draw fish, they're definitely drawing tilapia. For a long time, we've had the conversation of catfish versus tilapia, but then we realize now, there's even more fish than catfish and tilapia. And you go to the coast, you as you said, you get exposed to all these species, and most people, having just been used to eating tilapia, would find it difficult consuming those. So exploitation is why we say, okay, we know tilapia, we know the economics, and it's easy to grow, it's the aquatic chicken. How do we get more out of this? And let's keep milking this cow. Exploration is why we say, well, we know there's a limit to it, to the extent that we can grow the tilapia sector. But then we have a coastline of 640 kilometers in Mombasa. How about we explore and get all these other species into the mainstream market and make them more available? Let's create awareness. So this is a case where we are slowly moving away from exploitation to exploration. And it's based on the needs and times. It's something that we're going to organically get into. Yeah,
definitely. And that's a nice place to put this discussion to rest. But it is a pertinent discussion that we need to have all stakeholders, on the table to discuss why we're not implementing some of these nice policies that we do have. Also, as Kenyans, to have a hard conversation of saying, now it's time to explore. And not just fully exploit the aquatic chicken, as we call it. But John Eric, thank you very much for your input in our conversation today.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. John Eric is a food systems leader, agriculture technical project manager at Lattice Aquaculture Limited. And it tells me we have the potential, we have the policies already. It's just doing the work. Implementation is quite critical, but we also have to look at the cost of production, because that is our one key bottleneck. If we can create local capacity of producing fish feed, then that will really serve us a lot and position our farmers at a more competitive spot, because the world is an open place and competition is there. That's why we put a full stop to our discussion today. Thank you very much for being part of this conversation. My name is Noah Kipkimboy. Bye-bye for now.
Kuwa mkono ambao unalima ardhi, mlango wa kulima, kuwa mshindi, kuwa na uhakika sasa, kulea mustakabali wa baadaye. Tufanye kazi pamoja na tukue pamoja.